Crikey Moses, I am just so out of the loop in terms of live streaming. Greetings and welcome. My name is Jake Race and I'm a wildlife forest garden designer. And today I am here with the latest design. This is for the Tir Garden project. It's a garden down in South Wales, 2-acre site roughly. That's a kind of northeast facing slope. So south is that way. So it's a bit of a, it's an interesting position. And the garden that I'm doing doing it in different parts. I'm doing the design around the house, and there's like parking area and a courtyard and a patio, and I'm doing that separately because that's quite a lot of landscaping involved in that, a lot of detail. Whereas this is a forest garden, so it's much more, it's much bigger, and it has a lot of paths to sort out as well. So I'm just going to getting the paths done today too. And yeah, so I want to give you a quick kind of look at this, just so it's really is for Russell as well, who's the gardener on the project, just to discuss the choices. And an awful lot of this as well. I got a whole load of plants that I like, a lot of trees, and I put them down on a big list and what the client would like and what Russell would like, and I've just gone and put them all down, and I've added them all and then moved them around, just thinking about the position. So an awful lot of this, because it's on a slope and there's like different flat levels, an awful lot of this depends upon what happens with the paths and what happens actually in situ with the flat areas and how they relate to each other. So this is like a kind of suggestion, but the actual location of the trees can alter as well, because it really depends on how it looks and how it works in real life. And in particular it's working not only with the different levels and the different angles and the different species, it's also the soil conditions and what's there and what needs to be cleared, or if it's rock, or if there's a whole load of things that you don't really know about. And also is the position of the paths, because you've got to get the kind of infrastructure in first. Like any garden, you want to get the infrastructure done before you start planting, otherwise you're gonna trash everything. Okay, so let's dive in. I'll give you the map as well. So this is like an aerial photograph, and this is the house down here, bottom left hand corner, and then there's a parking area which is roughly around here, children's play area, courtyard, patio down there, and that polytunnel and hydrotherapy pool down here. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting how it's all going to kind of fit together. So the entrance is, you can't really see that clearly here. So the entrance is here, roughly, and again, this can alter. It can shift along down here. It depends on how the paths go in. It depends upon, it's the interplay of the different elements. But basically, it's up there. Now, for any kind of garden, it's the approach is really important, what you see when you come in and how it's delineated. So you kind of want to have statement plants, and I'm just thinking about that there's different options. So I've gone with an Amelanchier markii, which is an edible North American shrub, 6 trees, 6 meters tall, very beautiful, flowers and autumn colour and edible berries, and having them on either side of the entrance, so they're kind of quite defined, with dogwood. Now there's native dogwood, Cornus sanguinea. I want to put hedging along the bottom here, firstly to delineate the garden, but also to provide protection, a degree of protection for the plants further up, and then a mix as well. So around the entrance is like I love dogwood, like a Cornus sanguinea, because it's so flexible, and Cornus sericea as well. They're really flexible plants, really good hedging plants. And there's Cornus flavaromea, stolonifera. There's a range of different ones. So I'm not being very choosy about the specific Cornus, but they're great because they can be colourful. You can get colourful cultivars, and they're easy to manage. And by an entrance, they're good. They're nice plants, and they don't get too big. So you've got those two kind of row hedges on either side, with two uh, to Amelanchier lamarckii, like statement trees as you go in, and that's where you go into the entrance to the forest garden. I am open to persuasion on this. I'm not 100% convinced this is the right thing, but it's good to start somewhere because you can change your mind later on. So yeah, so that's the kind of entrance to it, and it is fascinating how how everything relates to each other, because you've got to look at how you come into the space from the other spaces as to where the entrance is and what the angle is for the entrance and where the position of the trees are in relation to that. So you can look at it and go, actually that don't work, and then be flexible enough to be able to change it and make it work, because you want to be at this sense of it's in front of you, it's there, you're going in. If it's an angle, which is what this looks like, it depends on the approach path, then it might just be a bit of a strange what the hell's that. You want it to be in some respects quite open and up front, but we'll see. We've got flexibility on the position of the paths, and this is what my job is to work all these things out. So that's so Juneberry, Amelanchier lamarckii here and here, and then Cornus down here, and then again a bit of flexibility on this on the bottom, because there might be a polytunnel and a potting shed down below, so we might need to shift up, which is fine. And I want to get, there's a few species here I want to talk about. There is alder buckthorn, Frangula ulnus, and then purging buckthorn down here, Rhamnus cathartica, and interspersed with spindle. So it's not, so you've got a splash of kind of colour and difference. There's a bit of a mix in there. So rather than just saying, oh, it's got to all be this one species, I've found this before. I planted a hedge with Viburnum opulus with Gelder rose, and it was Amelanchier canadensis, and it had some sea buckthorn at the end, and it worked really well, having the different colours and the different the stuff flowering at different times. I mean, particularly the Amelanchier and the Viburnum. They work kind of really well together. It was never meant to be an ornamental thing, but it works really well in terms of providing a different interest when things come into flower and when in the autumn for the leaf colour. But it also provides different food and support for different insects. So like the diversity is important. The diversity of species, and they are quite. Both the alder buckthorn has leaves kind of like alder, hence the name, ovate with like little lines on them, and they have a lot of fruit. They are quite dull looking in terms of their overall shape. They're green shrubs, and the same with the purging buckthorn as well. But you kind of go, it's not just about that. It's just like it's what else it's doing. And then this is why I think having something like a spindle, the European spindle, Euonymus, what is it called? Euonymus europaeus, and that has this beautiful berries and the kind of the beautiful flowers, and it's just and some autumn colour as well. So it's kind of interesting, just mixing and matching it. I'm blathering a little bit. So that's down that side. So dogwood, and then alder buckthorn and purging buckthorn. And then up on the left hand side, this is bordering the here. This is quite interesting. So the idea behind this, and I've done this before, is to put a very upright vertiginous willow, which is Bowles hybrid, which is a Salix viminalis cross. So the root structure's it's not like a spreading creeping one. It's well behaved, and it goes upright, goes 6 meters plus, and then plant that quite thick in a line and get that upright, because you want to protect from the north and from the neighbour, but also you don't want anything too shading out here, because the idea is to put in solar panels down this side here. And then for some evergreen, because there's a fence there currently at the moment, but to get some kind of semi-evergreen cover is to put a wild privet hedge in. I've seen the kind of height, people saying about different heights for the privet hedge. I'm kind of seeing somebody saying like 1.5 meters, 2 meters. I've actually seen one which is locally literally just down the road. There's a wild privet, and it's must be like 4 meters tall. So yeah, but it doesn't matter too much because the willow will go up, and then you've got the evergreen privet down here, and again intersperse that with Gelder rose, possibly a spindle, but just put in some extra. And because you've got the willow behind, you're not too fussed about the thickness of the hedge in front of it, so that's good. And then in terms of windbreaks across the site, the jury's not out, but you need to see what the angles are. Now, if you see here, can I do this? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, you can get a better idea. These four yellow patches are the flattened areas, so it's already been flattened. There's already some sort of terracing there already, and I'm putting fruit trees on there which are more accessible, but it depends upon the angles as to what windbreaks you put in and how tall they grow and how much shelter they give. So again, I haven't put anything in yet, but I will be going down to talk to the chap who's doing the landscaping for the paths. He's specifically doing the paths, and then I'll get a much better idea on site and see if there is kind of room to put in the windbreaks, because it's always important to put windbreaks in to protect plants. Oh, another big thing I really, really want to do is to put in dead hedges. Dead hedges are invaluable, and particularly on a steeply sloping site like this, which does get a fair bit of weather. So I'm going to ask the client to stock up on a whole load of stakes. Split chestnut stakes, I bet, is ideal, particularly if you're buying them in bulk. 4 posts in front of each tree, and then fill it up with brash. So that's the kind of windbreaks and the site itself. Oh, I'll talk about I might as well go back and just very, very quickly talk about the paths as well. Let's get rid of them. Boom. So the paths are kind of interesting. Let me get rid of that. The paths are interesting because the initial path was this one here. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see this is the initial path, was here, and then going up here, and then going around, and it's just the one big path. But then I thought it'd be really, really good idea, firstly, to have a secondary path going around, which will be steeper, because there are kind of mobility issues here as well. So increase accessibility. You want to keep the pitch of the path to, I think it's below 11%. So just over 1 in 10. So 1 metre that way and 10 metres up that way. So that's the main path going up is shallow, and then but I wanted to put in that path around there to connect up to this path going up here. So then you've got a kind of circular route, or kind of more circular route that way. And then I wanted to put in a woodland path, because it's supposed to be a witch's hut up the top, which is a bit further down the line. But putting a path, firstly access to kind of park, there's a parking area here already, and access to that parking area to the witch's hut, but also a woodland path going through. Now the woodland path, it's very nice as an existing hazel kind of coppice. I think they look like they've been coppiced down there already, but this also opens up, anytime you've got a path, it opens up access to it, so it's way easier to look after stuff basically. If the path wasn't there, there's a real danger that become like a total bramble thicket in the middle, whereas if you've got access to it, you'll be keeping an eye on it much better. So top thing whenever you're doing a garden, paths and access, really, really, really important, and get it. And the more accessible it is for everybody, the easier it is for everyone to use the space as well. So that's kind of a fundamental. And then I put in the other paths are for the beds, the flat tiers, the flat terraces, is to put a path going up there. So a path zigzags up through the flat bits, so it joins them up. So it's a kind of zigzag down there, just so that if you want to and you're able to, you can climb easily up the middle to the fruit trees here. Yeah, and then you can join the side path, or then you can join the main path, or you can go up the wooden path. It just gives up loads more options. And if you actually look at the spaces that are here in the design, there's not like there's not going to be anything that far away from the edge of a path basically. So it works out well in terms of getting up the hill, because you don't want to go up a steep gradient, and also works up in terms of access as well. So that's terribly exciting. Now let's just talk about let's talk about plants. Uh, so get all the trees back in. So here, I don't want anything to go. Well, so we've got the Amalancula markii coming in, and I don't want to get too. How long have I been talking for? Crikey, quarter of an hour already. I don't want to get anything too big on this side here in front of the solar panels. So I'm choosing purple chokeberry. I love Aronia. They're fabulous plant. I mean, really ornamental and just really productive and very beautiful flowers and beautiful autumn colour. So there's lots of scope for different cultivars and everything, but not just I'm not just talking about getting purple chokeberry here, possibly different cultivars, but also possibly different species as well. But something not too big that looks after itself, that won't cast too much shade over on the south facing. You see they're pointing south, the south facing solar panels here. So I kind of don't want to get anything too big. I want to kind of keep it over to the north, because it is a bit of a tricky situation. Normally you'd have the bigger trees on this side and then you go down, but because you want to keep that light coming in, you don't want anything to shade out the solar panels, so you've got to be a bit careful there. So yeah, that's a few options. And then coming in, I just want to put in a couple of echoes with the chokeberry going up the path. It's kind of quite hard to look at, and again, I want to do this in person, but there's just a couple of trees that I just absolutely love and are really, really beautiful. And I think that if you're going to have trees when you come in, and that's the space that you're going to spend most of the time or going through and seeing, then choose trees that work in that situation, that are really ornamental as well. So I love quince. I mean, quince blossom is absolutely gorgeous, and Asian pear is one of my most favourite trees. Full stop. Just beautiful bark, kind of slightly glossy green, speckled like an alder almost, and then it's got just beautiful leaves, and it has the most glorious. The fruit's fantastic and just really ornamental and delicious as well. So a couple of specimens of Asian pear, and then medlar. And medlar's kind of funny. It's a bit of a sprawly, twisty sort of tree. And it's not particularly well kempt, but it's just gorgeous. I just love it. And they've got the most glorious long kind of leaves and incredible flowers and incredible fruit, edible fruit, open arse, what they call it, dog's arse in French. But just lovely. And then Devon sorbapple, the same thing. I don't know if I'd be able to get hold of one, but similar thing. It's a member of the Sorbus genus, and it's just lovely. It's just absolutely. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous tree, and it has these small, edible, like apple-like fruit with just like a really interesting flavour to them. Anyway, and they're gorgeous. I just love them. So going up here, the flat areas. That's the idea, is to have something quite ornamental and quite specimen-y and showy. And then there's a black walnut, an existing black walnut. You can see that's the inner circle is where it is at the moment, and the outer circle is how big it can grow. So I don't want to get anything too close to that. A big discussion about allelopathy, allelopathic effects of walnuts, but yeah, don't keep stuff away. It'll be fine. And then coming up here in the longest kind of stretch, big long stretch at the top, that's the main kind of fruity kind of area. So I put some apples, plums, possibly pear. I don't know if the client likes pear. I'm not really a big fan of pears, but that's just me. But possibly pears in there, and then a seating area. I think there's actually a really nice space here, and then put in. I saw a lovely thing. John Little, again, the gardener. He's done this. He does these planters, these round planters, gabion planters. And I just wanted to and I've got this design in a couple of different places as well, which I'm using, like a horseshoe shaped open gabion seating area basically, and it's a recurring theme in the stuff that I'm doing, but they just work really, really well. And it's built-in seating, fire pit in the centre. They're just lovely and relatively cheap to construct as well. So there, and then this is what I wanted to do, was to put another Amalancula markii, like an echo above that. Now Russell wants a Wilson Magnolia Wilsonii, I think it is called, which is apparently very pendulous, has like pendulous flowers, and is quite gorgeous. Now, I don't know whether the best place is over here, on a junction on a path, right smack in the middle, so you have to go through it, and it's over the main path, or above the seating area. Yeah, but I don't know if there's enough elevation, because it's a relatively big tree, 8 meters tall by 8 meters. But yeah, so this is the thing. This is where the not knowing and being on site and actually looking at the space and working out comes into play. Cornelian cherry. Oh, the client wants elder. So there's a native elder, Sambucus nigra, and there's American elder, Sambucus canadensis. Lots of different loads of different cultivars. So can have a lot of fun with that. I haven't got Cornus cusa. Oh yes, I have. Chinese dogwood. There it is. Yes, and then a couple of hawthorn. There's scarlet hawthorn and Arnold hawthorn, North American hawthorns. Really lovely, beautiful trees. Edible, kind of apple-ish kind of fruits. Member of the rose family. And then there's Bentham's Cornus capitata, evergreen. Yep. And Cornus mass. I love Cornus mass. Just like this glorious little yellow flowers early on in the year. I want to put a witch hazel in as well. Did I? Yes, I did. Yeah, the witch hazel down here in the seating area just for the aroma. And apparently the Wilson magnolia is scented as well. And then sea buckthorn away from the edge of the path. I just love sea buckthorn. They just, just in terms of the fruit that they produce. And then one of Russell's, Malus transitoria, cutleaf crabapple, I think it's called, is the common name. They're very showy, and putting that up the top, and then a stand of European barberry, and I think it's like having a diversity of different species, and putting them together actually can work really, really well. So you kind of say just a big kind of clump of something, and then that suits whatever the invertebrates that use it as a food source, and it also kind of focuses. It's like an intentional planting for it. And then a katsura tree, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that, which has smells of candy floss apparently in the autumn, and beautiful autumn display. Bladder nut, can't get hold of one of those unfortunately. Lovely little tree shrub. Some autumn olives. Going to get the nitrogen fixing, but going to get named varieties of those. Not using them as a hedge at all. Not using them as a windbreak hedge. So there we go. So that's the kind of main planting. Italian alder, nitrogen fixing. So that's the kind of general ideas behind the planting. But as I'm saying, Matt's going to be going down there hopefully quite soon. The chap is going to do the landscape of the paths, and I'll go down as well, and I will talk to him about the different paths, mark out the paths, and then also take down a whole load of bamboo canes and mark up the trees, and depending upon what trees you can get this time of year too. So that's marking up on in situ. So there we go. Hope that's mildly interesting. That is a bloody long time, 25 minutes of me blathering on about trees and design. And as I was saying, this is more about this is a specific design for a specific garden. So just that's the kind of idea behind it. Right, thanks for watching. Made it this far, well done, and see you again soon. Cheers, bye.